Hello everybody, welcome back to It's Current Year for another quick battle ladder replay, today on the Northern Chaos Wastes map. I'm playing the Vampire Counts. I'm up against the Warriors of Chaos, and we're casting this game for a number of reasons. It's a reasonably good game. It goes right down to the wire, but just to highlight a unit that I think is really, really competitive and probably sort of gets overshadowed by other selections. But first of all, we'll just go through my opponent's list. Marauder frontline, pretty much what you expect to see against the Warriors of Chaos. Also has the Mirror Guard here thrown in. Immune to Psychology, so pretty relevant in this matchup. Can't be terror routed and things like that. Unit of Chaos Warriors with Halberds and a unit of the Demon Spew, the Forsaken ROR on this side of the battlefield. Also has 2 units of Chaos Spawn. Archaon is leading the force. Looks like he has taken the Crown of Domination, Slayer of Kings, also Fireball, Flaming Sword, and Burning Head. So he's certainly invested there with Archaon, and has the Swords of Chaos over here. The Chaos Knight ROR with just insanely cool unit model, pretty strong. Probably wants to have them closer to Archaon because they do give him the Guardian Aura, and there are also 2 Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes. So over for my force, likewise, front row of zombies. I have a couple of units of Fellbats in the sky. Good for harassing skirmish cav and that kind of thing. 2 units of Graveguard with great weapons, as well as the Sternsman. 2 units of Can Wraith. So this is a pretty infantry heavy build. I've can't remember when exactly this was played. It was a couple of weeks ago, but I was sort of trying to play without sort of relying on Blood Knights. So I was trying a lot of different builds, a lot of ethereal units, stuff like that. But I also have the Claw of Nagash, obviously just for the infantry drain. Also the Dire Pack, good for pulling down skirmish cav. And the sort of centerpiece of the army, which we're sort of looking at today, the Larmian Vampire Lord. Now, obviously it's of the generic sort of bloodline vampires, I think it's basically the consensus that the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord is pretty much the strongest choice. I wouldn't really argue with that, but I reckon the Larmian is a fairly close second. A really good array of spells. Penumbral Pendulum is obviously great, particularly in this matchup at dealing with infantry lines, particularly armored infantry lines. Obviously, Raise Dead and Invocation are always strong, but some good combat debuffs as well. So Seduction, obviously, is like a mini, I guess not quite as good as the Helm of Discord that the Blood Dragon has, but, you know, add in some damage resistance and speed with lightning reflexes, and then obviously the minus speed and melee attack in a bubble effect. I reckon I probably play with the Larmian as much as any other Lord when I play the vampires. I think she's a really good choice. She's actually also a bit cheaper than the Blood Dragon. So obviously the Helm of Discord is a massive, probably the best generic magic item in the game, I would have thought. So that really puts the Blood Dragon in sort of A to S tier category, but I think the Larmian is a very competitive pick for the vampires. I play with her a lot. So obviously we've got it on play here, and the battle lines are going to draw closer. Archaon's going to lob a fireball into my Claw of Nagash. Good to get some damage down. But the Claw of Nagash does have, you'll see here, does have actually magic resistance. 25% magic resistance. So that's good if Archaon comes to hunt it in combat as well, because he has magic attacks, and also good for just sort of mitigating fireballs and that kind of thing. So Marauders clashing with zombies, Mirror Guard clashing with zombies, that's fine. I'm just sort of letting the combat settle. I'm letting sort of him take his engagements with my zombies, so I can then look at where I need to send my my own sort of elite infantry, like the Can Wraiths and the Sternsman and that kind of thing. Oh, I've also taken a Necromancer. Just has the Forbidden Rod for some power, for a bit of a power battery, and I believe also a Raise Dead, and has the obviously regen sort of passive bubble effect. Chasing off the Marauders with the bats, that's fine. I'm happy to have that that take place and just screen his throwing axes out whilst the Larmian comes down, and we managed to get a quick rout on these Chaos Warriors, which is a nice little start. We do have obviously our own Graveguard in there with their armor piercing, but look at the damage going down into these Can Wraiths. Obviously I believe a Flaming Sword of Ruin went down here earlier, which does imbue magic and fire damage. And obviously Archeon with his magic damage is probably going to be taking out a couple of models here. So I am popping an invocation down here. I am going to be probably disengage. I think I'm disengaging them soon, but they're also getting a bit of healing from the Claw of Nagash, so it's kind of a bit of a stalemate there. The Necromancer's providing his regen bubble, and he's going to move over. I believe he does summon a unit of zombies here just to see off the routing Marauders, and we are slowly and steadily going to start working down this Chaos Spawn now with the Lamian Vampire Lord. The Claw of Nagash is sort of pivoted over here. I wanted to get away from Archeon, and it's just sort of lending its sort of aura ability here on the fight here. You know, Chaos Warriors with Halberds, that's a good matchup for the Graveguard. Obviously, Chaos Warriors with Halberds have a lower attack rate, so not as good in the anti-infantry fight. This flank obviously has been cleaned up. The Demon Spew obviously have cut through the unit of zombies that they were fighting. You see here 57 kills, and I'm just trying to pull out with these can raids now just to sort of reshuffle my forces. The bats here doing a really good job. I mean, I don't care if Marauder Horsemen waste their ammo on bats. Likewise, I'm just throwing a unit of bats here to just hold the Swords of Chaos out of the fight here. I believe they did actually kill the poor old what are they called, the hounds, so that was a bit of a wasted investment. But both my units of can raids suffering a bit. You know, these ones are actually close to their healing cap thanks to the presence of the Claw of Nagash. And now I'm just sort of floating around, trying to sort of screen out from my Necromancer. I don't want to lose this guy. He's still got obviously the ability to buff my Winds of Magic and also provide me with summons. So I'm trying to sort of get him away. But the Demon Spew, obviously, with their, you know, they're pretty quick for an infantry unit. They're gonna hit the ground, and they're gonna wrap him up. But my infantry over on this side has just absolutely dominated. You know, the Graveguard here, 42 kills. This side here, 85 kills. The Halberds and the Marauders that they were fighting have been pushed off, and now Archeon's sort of coming in to still sort of hunting the Claw of Nagash, which has managed to stay quite healthy. And the Throwing Axes now, having dealt with the bats, are bringing it in. We are going to see the obviously my Lamian is in the air here. It's not a misclick. I have a breath attack on cooldown here, and I'm sensing a very, very sort of tasty little pocket here. I'm trying to bring the Claw of Nagash up and around. So what I'm going to do here is give a bit of a 1-2 punch here with a breath attack, which you'll see go down and absolutely decimate the Demon Spew and this unit of Marauder Horsemen, and then I'm going to bring the Claw of Nagash around to try and get the little steady bits of damage. Trying to pin obviously the Swords of Chaos in here with the Sternsmen. I've got a lot of armor piercing in here with my magical attacks and armor piercing with the can raids, and obviously with, you know, the tattered remains of the infantry coming back in here. 53 great weapon Graveguard here, 60 over here. They're going to be able to see them off just fine. The Marauder Horsemen are still a bit of a pain. They do have a little bit of ammo left, but I am popping a zombie summon down. Unfortunately, my Necromancer is still alive. I think he does sort of get sniped in the late game here, but he has been pretty crucial here in providing me with not only the blob healing and the stat buff from his corpse cart, but the Forbidden Rod. Like, obviously he's taken a lot of damage. Some of that is from combat, but a lot of it's actually self-inflicted from the Forbidden Rod, but that's fine. Getting the damage up. I haven't really had I haven't really had the need to use the Penumbral Pendulum yet, because I've been able to use my breath weapons for the same basically the same role, and then preserve my Winds of Magic for heals and summons. So we've got some tattered Demon Spew coming back in, some shielded Chaos Warriors. These Graveguards are going to be pulled back to the fight here, but it's starting to look like a bit of an uphill battle now for the Warriors of Chaos. You know, 28 can raids here, 21 can raids here. The Sternsmen obviously are regenerated and still have 50 unit models. The Swords of Chaos obviously have a lower unit model count, but they do have a lot of HP. So it is actually hard to kill individual unit models. But I guess just a slow, steady tick of damage here from the Claw of Nagash, as well as the can wraiths with their armor piercing, is going to be pretty nice to bring that down. And now we've got the Lamian Vampire Lord, obviously popping a heal on herself, taking on Archeon one-on-one, and just with the buffing of all this infantry, you know, a lot of Archeon's attack animations are being sort of sent onto other things, unless you're constantly sort of microing and constantly clicking. I've got 58 Graveguard here, 42 Graveguard here fighting Marauder Horsemen. They're actually wavering at the moment. They should be winning that fight fairly handily. But Archaon is now sort of on his own. The Vlamian Vampire Lord's going to pull out just because, you know, with this much infantry I can afford to, and I can actually do some cycle charging and wait for the buffs maybe to come off cooldown, so I can just sort of get some rear charges in. Down she goes. She'll get a hit in on the rear there. Archaon's starting to take some damage. Obviously has a decent HP pool. He's popping stand or die. The Swords of Chaos out here are actually holding up reasonably well. You know, they've got a sliver of HP left, but still some unit models, but the can rates are just going to pull them down. And with the Marauder Horsemasters, or the Marauder Horsemen here, sort of just doing a last-ditch effort here to try and get a rear charge and get some crumbling, it's not going to be enough, and the Forces of Chaos are going to flee the field. I also had a zombie summon out here, I think, screening out the Demon Spew, who had come back into the fight. So all in all, a really good fight. Not a bad Chaos list. You know, Chaos Spawn are really good in this matchup. Outside of Blood Knights, the vampire counts can have a bit of a hard time dealing with large. Blood Knights kill Chaos Spawn very, very quickly, because obviously Chaos Spawn, you know, if there's one thing Blood Knights lack, it's armor piercing, but Chaos Spawn basically have no armor, so they're a pretty hard counter. So they had some good engagements in this list, but again, a lot of those kills are zombies, so I'm not really too concerned about it. You know, same with the Demon Spew, they killed a lot of zombies that game, and I think a lot of them were summons. The Swords of Chaos came in late and did some decent work. I think they probably put a fair bit of hurt through my can rates, but as I said before, given the fact that I was able to, you know, I obviously talked up Pendulum as being a real reason why I think the Larmian Vampire Lord is a very competitive pick, but I didn't really have the need to use it. I was able to use my breath weapons on the Zombie Dragon in a similar role and preserve my Winds of Magic. So I got a lot of invocations down on a couple of good blob fights, kept my Graveguard healthy. One of my units of can rates was pretty much brought back from the brink by a good invocation. So yeah, she's a really versatile choice. I really, really like her. Obviously, the vampires have access to some very good lore choices. Their legendary lords are all, with probably the exception of Gorst, you know, pretty viable. The Bloodline Lords are all, you know, the Bloodline Lords obviously with the Blood Dragon, you know, Blood Dragon being so good. Some of the other ones don't really get much of a look in, but I really like the Larmian. I think it's a real sort of sleeping giant of the Vampire Counts roster. So a nice battle against Edge, able to sort of just preserve my heavy hitters in this force. Obviously, it's a very heavy infantry build. Like I said, trying not to rely so much on Blood Knights when I played this battle. So yeah, trying something different, and today it was able to come out on top against the Warriors of Chaos. So thank you for checking it out, and we'll be back soon with more Total War content. Thank you very much.